On this channel so far, we've talked about leads, we talked about how to generate them, we talked about what a quality lead would be. However, when it comes to ultimately closing a deal, there are a few automations that you should consider to make your workload easier over time. Now, the buckets that we're going to go look into are system automations, nurturing automations, follow-up automations, and then finally, onboarding automations. Now, first off, for system automations, what do we absolutely need to make the following bucket or automations work? Well, we'll need to have a website. We'll ideally need to have a calendar. And this is really helpful to host a website link to essentially have a calendar that clients go to find a time to chat with us. And then from there, what we want to do is, assuming that we have sales reps on our team, we want to be able to route the lead to the proper sales rep. Now, what this is going to go include is proper tagging. We might want to tag the source of the lead, if they came from the website, if they came from a Facebook ad, if they came from cold email. We may want to route them to the proper pipeline. So sometimes in sales, what you'll see are different types of pipelines. They're called Kanban boards, where you're going to go have different stages. What I mean by stages is, if it's a sales cycle, you might have someone that says, discovery call has been booked, discovery call no-showed, call showed up, proposal sent out, awaiting signature, signed, or closed won or closed lost, unsubscribe or not interested, and then long-term follow-up. Those could be some generic pipeline stages. From there, what we also want to be able to do is understand the roles that are inside of our sales and marketing funnel. From there, what we want to do is we want to know exactly what are the KPIs that we're tracking. Typically on a marketing funnel, our main KPI that we're tracking is cost per acquisition. Now, what would go into this is how many leads we're getting, how many sales calls we're driving, and then ultimately how many deals we're closing on a monthly, on a quarterly, or even on a weekly or daily basis, depending on how many units you're pushing through the funnel. And then you want to be able to see exactly, well, what are your expenses on a weekly, on a monthly, or on a daily basis, so that you're eventually going to be able to figure out how much does it cost to get a client. The reason why this is helpful is that once you understand how long a client stays with you over time, you're able to get a ratio called LT or LTV to CAC. And then from there, you're able to see how profitable your client acquisition really is. Now, once we have that information, the last thing that we'll need are case studies, frequently asked questions, and then finally some thought leadership pieces to support the remaining automations that we'll be building out. Now, let's just say that we have a marketing funnel. We talked about this before, where we might have some sort of a lead magnet, some sort of value resource that we put into the market in exchange to get someone's email. The moment that they give us their email, what will happen is we want to put them into something called a nurturing flow, a welcome flow. Well, it's in the title. Well, we want to welcome them to our company. We want to set the right expectations, and we want to educate them and really warm them up to see if they would be a sales qualified lead. Let's just say that someone came in from an ad campaign that we're running and they became qualified from the form that we had set up. If they book on our calendars, what we're going to go do is we're going to go nurture them prior to a sales call. What we might want to do is answer some of the most common FAQs. We might want to share some of our most successful case studies or some of the most relevant case studies to their unique position. Now, let's just say that they have been nurtured. The sales call takes place. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to go follow up with them. And one of the best ways how to do this to be efficient is to have a post-call sales form. As a previous sales rep, one of the things that was challenging to do is to keep all of my sales notes clean, especially if you're on back-to-back calls during an afternoon or during a morning. You want to make sure that you have structured data that goes into your CRM. And then based on the information, you're able to create a proposal if they're a good fit. And then once you have a proposal or whether they are a long-term fit, what you're going to go do is have different types of follow-up email flows so that the sales rep doesn't have to necessarily have 50 tasks to do on a daily basis when it comes to following up. You have different follow-up channels that you could put a prospect into given the situation. And there's not an unlimited amount of options that a prospect will go into. It's either that they're going to be interested, they're going to go need more time, they're going to want to see more information to base and make a decision on. And then lastly, what we're going to go look at as well is, let's just say a prospect wants to move forward. We don't want our fulfillment to be a bottleneck, and we want to make the transition from sales to fulfillment as easy as possible. To make this happen, we're going to go have an onboarding email flow where we're going to be able to create a client hub for the prospect to see all of their work or the software that they have access to. We want to make sure that if it's a high touch service or software, that we create a project management task board for our team to use. If we have any types of communications with them, we're going to go create a Slack channel or a Teams channel. And then finally, we want to make sure that the account manager or onboarding specialist is fully aware of all of the sales notes. And then this could be automated as well if you're using a tool like Fathom or Gong. So this is the overview. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. The main goal of this is to make sales as easy as possible, to not have 1,000 tasks piling up that are outdated. So that's it. Have a good one.